Hi, my name is Terry Moss, and this presentation is about solution-focused brief therapy. The main figures involved in solution-focused brief therapy were Steve DeShazer and Insukin Berg, and their colleagues at the Milwaukee Brief Family Therapy Center. They were the main founders and the developers of solution-focused brief therapy. Key concepts in solution-focused brief therapy include positive orientation, which is a positive approach to therapy. People are resilient, they're resourceful, they're competent in their actions. They focus on solutions, not problems. There's little interest on presenting a problem or any past issues. The clients are involved with choosing their own goals and what they want to accomplish, and there's little attention paid to exploration of the problem. We are going to look for what's working, not focus on what's not working, but we're going to look for what's working. There's instances of success, and it creates solutions through narratives. The group leaders' functions include they take on a not knowing position, whereby the group members are the experts instead of the leader. There's a collaborative stance and not a consultative type of stance. The leaders create the chance to help clients see themselves as the experts, and we hold the experience, but enter the client's work as unknowing and curious. We use specific language with solution-based therapy, including we avoid diagnosis, assessment, and intervention. There are specific narratives and positive solutions with the group leaders' functions, and the responsibility, the group leader shifts the responsibility over to the group members. It's a really interesting dynamic. The therapeutic relationship is interesting in solution-based therapy. It's a collaborative relationship between the clients and the therapist, and what you want to accomplish, not why are you here. It's a more goal-orientated. There's relational necessities, such as the relationship is built around care and interest and curiosity and openness and empathy. The solution track works on a solution, not the problem. And there's an environment of mutual respect in the therapeutic space. The process for solution-focused brief therapy involves finding out what the clients want, what their desires are. And it does not focus on what they don't want. It's about what they want. Don't look for a diagnosis. And if members are doing what's not working for them, you should encourage them to experiment with other solutions. Therapy is to be brief by approaching each session as the one and the only session, so it should be very focused and dynamic. The process continues where the therapist sets the tones. Will be focusing on solutions from the very beginning of the very first meeting. Problems are briefly described. There's goal setting, there's expectations, and sometimes we have to ask about the times when the problems were not present or less severe and examine those. We will assist with task development, we'll offer feedback, but we will also encourage other members to offer feedback and go with the next steps. Pre-therapy change is a section that is really interesting. It involves what have you done since you called that has made a difference in your problem. So it's solution focused. It relies less on the therapist and more of the member's resources. Application questioning is the primary communication tool. It's a main intervention. It can be asked from a position of respect, curiosity, interest, and openness. And the next question will stem from the last answer. And members are encouraged to respond and promote collaboration within one another, within the group, rather than just rely on the therapist. In group, there may be an exception question. What is an exception question? Well, these are questions that direct members to times when the problem did not exist. It's an exception. What happens with this? It reminds people that problems are not all powerful and haven't always been there. It gives the members time to evoke resources, engage strengths, and possibly even find their own solutions. Change talk, as when members ask when this has to happen for these, needs to happen for the exceptions to occur more often. And then they listen for signs of previous solutions and exceptions. So hopefully what happens is it builds time over time and the exceptions time becomes greater. Then we may use the miracle question. What is it? Well, the therapist might ask or pose to the group, if a miracle happened and the problem you have was solved overnight, how would you know it was solved? And what might be different? It's a miracle question. What happens? Well, this isn't designed to allow the group members to actually visualize what life would be like without the issue, without the problem. And it lets yourself imagine if you leave the group what today and you are to track to you're going to be acting more confidently and securely. What would you be doing differently? Well, the changes that you're doing, you can change how you view the problem, or you can talk about the strengths that you're learning to deal with or surrounding this problem. Scaling questions are extremely important in this type of theory, in this type of application. Well, what happens is scaling questions, you might pose to the group, on a scale of 1 to 10, what do you think about something? It's used when changes in human experience are not easily observed, and when a member moves to only 1 mark, it is improvement. So even if they started at a 4 and they ended up at a 5, that's still improvement. It enables clients to pay closer attention to what they're doing and the steps that they can do to actually have change happen. SFBT is extremely effective in schools. It offers school therapists a framework of achieving small, concrete changes to help students find a more positive direction. And we're able to provide counseling to more students in less time in a group setting. It underscores the importance of small changes and co-constructive goals for the group. SFBT in schools is an extremely effective and practical because it emphasizes on what works rather than why something is a problem. It encourages the acceptance and accommodation of diverse opinions and beliefs. It's based on clear concepts and relatively easy to learn issues, and it's a strength-based approach that children can be successful with. All right, so SFBT in schools, there's 5 steps that should happen. Students identify a well-defined goal that has meaning to them. Then they say what their lives would be like without the problems and what's blocking their goals. They do a little reflective time with that. The therapist facilitates the student's recognition of time when the problem did not exist. So they start a discussion point. And then the therapist asks the students to establish a baseline rating that reflects the severity and design specific tasks to move up the scale with a clear direction. And then there's a written message that the therapist constructs that complements effort and tasks complete. SBFT is very successful with multicultural populations. It works well with cultures that prefer to engage in direct behavior change rather than focusing on feelings and cognitions. The therapist may ask questions like, tell me more about the influence that your culture has played in your life. Or what can you share with me about your background that will help me fully understand you? Or what challenges have you faced growing up in your culture? There's all kinds of open-ended questions like this to explore. The population served, there are limitations. The client is the expert. Many cultures actually elevate the professional as the expert, and they want direction and solutions from you, the therapist, rather than them, the person coming to seek the help. Also, making the client the expert shows lack of confidence sometimes in some cultures with the way that they perceive things in the therapist's ability. If the client wants ideas because it's culturally proper, the therapist may discuss what these ideas will consist of and what keeps the session solution focused. As a quick recap on sbft, be positive. Solutions, they're not necessarily problems. Problem talk stays with the problem. Change talk promotes change. Ask questions like an exception question, a scaling question, a miracle question. Use specific language to help the change. The sbft is can be extremely successful in a school setting.